All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome. So happy to be here with you today after a little bit of a hiatus, 2 weeks off. So, really happy to be back in the saddle and here with you live. And I am live from actually Lincolnshire, Illinois. so, back full circle. We are in the area visiting. My kids actually wanted to have an opportunity to see their friends before they go off to college. So we're in a hotel here, and I'm here with Jen Draper, all the way in Hawaii. Jen, good to see you and welcome.
Thank you, Leslie. Aloha, everybody. I'm so glad
happy to have you. Yeah, I'm really excited to have you. This has been kind of a long time in the making. We had you on the show, gosh, several months ago, and you are back by popular demand. So it was just amazing. And so today we are going to talk about a little bit of a different topic. Today's session is all about successful group intuitive eating counseling. And again, this is in a group setting. All right. So we are going to share some juicy tidbits in terms of how to be successful in that setting, in the group setting, specifically within the intuitive eating niche. So let me give you a little bit of an overview of what you're going to learn today. We are going to be touching on why providing nutrition intuitive eating counseling is a win-win for you and your group participants. We're going to talk about how to optimize the group dynamics and ensure that each group member that you add to your group is actually a great fit. We're going to talk about some common fears that might be holding you back from launching your group program and how to work through these worries, right? So that you can finally launch your own successful intuitive eating group program. And of course, many other gems as we move forward. So first and foremost, again, I want to welcome Jen Draper. My name is Leslie Beitel. For those of you that don't know me, I'm a business strategist and coach, and I work with a variety of health practitioners, many registered dietitians, nutritionists, coaches, and medical practitioners in private practice. So what I do is I help you to streamline your process and your marketing so that you can get your message out to those perfect fit clients and ultimately get paid really well doing the work that you love. So, Jen, welcome. So happy to have you. Let's kick things off. I'd love if you could share just a little bit about yourself. I didn't want to read your bio. I would rather just hear your story, right? So tell us a little bit about your background and how you ended up where you are today.
Right. Okay. So most of my career, I've been working with clients with eating disorders. So I have a private practice going on 11 years now, and I've worked at all of the levels of care. So we'll hear about my group. Much of my experience came out of the eating disorder group treatment programs. I've also been teaching in a variety of just all kinds of different locations for over 15 years, from state troopers when I was in school in Texas to kids in a Sunday school class learning about nutrition. I currently teach at 2 different universities, intro nutrition courses. My passion is to help clients have a better relationship with food and their bodies. And so something else we'll talk about today is the difference between MNT and the nutrition counseling realm. And dietitians get nervous about this because we're not taught how to do nutrition counseling. I also have a mentoring program for non-diet dietitians where I do supervision, and we have a group program that meets twice a month there. So I have kind of these different pockets, but my main focus is really a non-diet approach. Everything that I teach is founded in the HAES principle, health at every size, and intuitive eating realm. Yes.
I love that. So powerful. So, and it sounds like you started out in the eating disorder world, right? And that was a natural springboard to take you into private practice. So you currently have a private practice, kind of a 2-prong approach, right? One, one area of your work is actually working with clients, right? In the HAES approach, intuitive eating. And then the other part of your business is helping registered dietitians to, in terms of supervision in this particular niche, right? Yeah. So more of like the I guess client management, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Okay. Yeah. Like supervision, which is interesting because it's not really something that we as dietitians, it's not like a typical thing. Unlike the world of psychology, right? Like that supervision is expected. It's a thing, like everybody does it. So I love how you have kind of picked that piece and integrated that into your own practice. I think it's really needed and so incredibly helpful so that, dietitians that are, maybe starting out in this field or even experienced dietitians, like we kind of work when we're in private practice, we're in our own little vacuum sometimes. That's what it can feel like, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, so tell us a little bit about that, just so people are clear on like that experience and that side of your business.
Right. So it is, just like you said, Leslie, it's modeled after what happens in the psychology world. And this is because if we're treating, so eating disorders, or what I like to call the professional dieters or eating disorder light folks, like they may not have a full-blown eating disorder, but they really have a broken relationship with food and they suffer and struggle with their body image. So we're dealing with their relationships. And so there is a component that mirrors what happens with therapy, but we're not doing therapy about their feelings, but we are exploring this dynamic for them to help them heal. And so so the supervision piece is kind of a soundboard. I have some very experienced patients that are still doing supervision that just want the validation that they've got it. I have others that are brand new and they're like, this is what I did. This is what I'm thinking. So sometimes when we talk, the supervision piece it's like doing case consultation or a case study, but they don't know, we just don't have training how to do this. So it's helping the dietitian gain confidence and really understand how to stay in their scope or their, if that's where it gets a little, it can get blurry for us. We're not therapists. We're not providing that level of support. But the other piece for supervision that is helpful is just to have somebody say, oh, that was really hard. Yes. So when you dealt with those, when you're working with a teenager and their parents are difficult, it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good to have conversations. So even that support. And then I also provide mentoring, which is more of the teaching. Here's what to expect working with an anxious client. Here's how to do meal planning for this population. This is what the non-diet approach is. So I offer a 3-month group program for dietitians, and then I do the monthly supervision courses for longer term support. Really fun.
So helpful. Yeah, so helpful. And I love what you said. It's really true. Having quite a bit of experience myself in private practice, when I had my nutrition practice, a big part of my business was in the area of intuitive eating. It wasn't so much the HAES approach. That has really taken off over the last few years. It wasn't really such a big thing back when I was in practice, but nonetheless, the thing that I personally kind of grappled with is kind of like that fear, that internal, just not sure where those lines were in terms of staying in my scope, because it really did kind of start to feel like therapy in some ways, right? And so that was a little bit unnerving, I have to admit.
Yeah, it is. It's uncomfortable. And the way that I explain it to clients so that they know what to expect is that I'm looking for patterns so I can help them identify there's an emotion attached to the behavior they're doing. Maybe we can come up with the answer, and then I instruct them to go talk to their therapist. So I'll say, oh, that sounds really important. That's not for me. And the majority of the clients I work with are in therapy. If they're not, I might suggest that they start. So it might be something like I look through their food journal and every time they eat, they feel guilty.
Mm.
This is not, you cannot feel that guilty about eating your breakfast. I mean, you do, but what is deeper? And like, I wonder what that guilt is about. I'm not going to go there because that's not in my lane, but that's a clue. Like, here's a little clue, go talk to your therapist. And then I'll call the therapist and say, this is what we talked about. And they'll say, oh yeah, I know what it's about. We'll talk about it. Right. So it's helping them. So we're helping them make these connections, but we are staying in our lane. We can talk about our relationships with food. How do you feel about a food? Where did that come from? Who taught you that? But the deep work is really for the therapist, which is because we don't want to do that. It's hard. Right. We didn't go into therapy. Right? I would be crying all day with clients if I don't want to know the trauma. I just know I'll say, oh, that sounds really uncomfortable. Go talk to them. So you can be kind and reassuring. But so there is. I had a lot of supervision from dietitians, even from some therapists, because I was working closely with them. So that's part of what I offer.
So helpful, so incredibly helpful. Like, so instead of ignoring it or like going in and just going too deep and, and actually doing therapy, which again, that's out of our scope. We don't want to do that. That's an amazing example of, how to deal with some of those difficult feelings that our clients have around eating. Right. It's very, sometimes there's a lot of baggage, quite frankly, around just, you wouldn't realize it, but a lot of people really do struggle with the emotions behind eating. That's so interesting. Okay. So what I want to do now is let's shift our conversation into the topic for today. And that is the group model. All right. So I really want to dig into this. I'm such a fan of, my goodness, like this is such an important topic. I have a course called Lucrative Course Blueprint. It's really my course is all about how to pick a topic, how to do the market research, how to decide like the structure of your program, and how to do a successful launch. Right. And a little bit about facilitation. So it is like very near and dear to my heart. One of the things that I love to share is really from a business standpoint, the rationale, why this makes so much sense. And that, Jen and I think that's a great place for us to start. So from your perspective, Jen, tell us a little bit about why this is just like the most brilliant idea and why we want to move into this group model, because it is different. It is different. And, and there are some inherent challenges.
Yes.
It is a different business model. So let's start talking about that. Let's start unpacking some of those challenges.
Definitely the benefit, it is a little bit different and it might feel out of your comfort zone, but the benefits are going to, like the rewards that come are bigger than you would know. So there's a few different components, and some of it is what you might already know about the benefits of running a group, right? It's a way to do a step down from like maybe you offer a 6-week course and then here's an ongoing support step down. It's a way if you had clients one-on-one that they can step down. So there's that part of just the business part of having other ways to connect with clients. But what I found, so I was doing groups that were part of a program, and then I had experience running groups. And I noticed that in my private practice, I had clients that had common experiences. And I would find myself saying, I wish that you could meet this person because you have so much in common. Like I wish, and then I remembered, wait, I get a group, right? Like I had a group of teenagers who had all gone to the same treatment center, but they didn't have a step down program. And I was like, oh, we could meet on a Sunday. We would meet on a Sunday afternoon at the beach park. And what they had learned at that center, the philosophy was a little bit different from the group I was part of. And so it just gave them the support. So sometimes it's recognizing a common thread of like, these people are telling me the same struggles, and so so we can build community because I don't have the same struggles, and to hear from each other. So it could be just like, wait, there's a hole here that I could fill with this group. And then what blew me away when I really started understanding how to do groups well is that the same things that I would tell the client one-on-one that we go over and over, and they kind of, aren't ready to hear it or feeling resistant. If their peer said it to them, like, oh, that's so I've had clients in a group listen to what their peer said, and I'm like, we've been talking about this, and they'll say, Jen, I know you told me, like, Jen, I know, you've said it so many times, but the dynamic between the peers, especially in this area where you're teaching or coaching for intuitive eating, it's family. Somebody who is working on this food stuff, it's very private. They may not have friends or family members that can support. So it's building a sense of community, and then they have shared experiences. So if you have to set the tone. If you set the tone that everyone is focused on getting better and healing, like we're not there to be victims, we're going to encourage each other and empower, then they start building each other up. And then the way that I've always done it is that it's an open group. So people, instead of just, a length of time where it's closed, you start and stop, it's open.
Right.
People are at different levels of their healing. So they would be able to say, oh, I remember what that was like, but I don't have that problem anymore. I have area. And so there's a way to build hope, right, in a situation that feels really dark, because it's different. I guess this would be like any of you who are parents. You're like, I can say it to my child until I'm blue in the face, but when someone else says it to them, they listen, right? Or this dynamic. So just being able to see people at different parts of the path and knowing that it's real and hearing the encouragement. The other thing that can happen in a really healthy group is that they share contact information, so they have support outside. So it can really have this ripple effect. Another big benefit for me was that if I had people in private practice that I had in the group, I know their stories. So when I'm guiding the discussion, it's individualized, right? I can kind of pick, we talked, Leslie, about the pain points. We have these pain points that we're really helping our client work through. So the other part that it's different from just going to a classroom and you have these nice people that you teach and then you go home. These are people that I have relationships with. I know their pain points. And so as people are sharing, I can notice a pattern and say, oh, so-and-so, would you like to share about this? And it's somebody that I know. I wouldn't put somebody on the spot that's not ready, but it's like, oh, and I know that they've overcome something. So it takes on a life of its own, and it becomes incredible support for the client and really easy for the dietitian because they're doing all the talking.
Okay.
Right? Kind of managing. We're kind of just holding the line, like keeping everyone in the circle, making sure everybody's comfortable and safe and respectful. But so it ends up being really easy for us because we just show up and offer encouragement, and they get this really juicy, helpful interaction.
Okay, so key. Because in my experience with teaching dietitians how to do groups, one of the biggest fears is the content. Like, oh my God, I can't do this until I've got like a gazillion modules of content completely perfect and beautiful and like amazing, right? And so what happens? Nothing ever happens, right? That is the number one thing that I see, people getting stuck in content. And I'm here to tell you all, I don't often tell, right? Like, but I will say for sure, if that is you, I really want to help you shift that mindset. And I'm hoping today will help you because it is so not about the content. It's, what do you have to say about that? It's not. It's our dietitian brain, guys. It's not a criticism, because trust me, I was 100% there, like to the nth degree. Seriously, my brain works exactly like that. It's just after launching many groups, many programs, and teaching other people, I now know it's the opposite. Like that you worry about later, and chances are you really don't even need that much content depending on how your group is organized. I think in this kind of group that we're talking about, it is really not at all about content. Tell us about that, Jen.
That is that is key. So, and I do hope, Leslie, that for everyone who's watching this, they'll feel like they could start right now when they know this tip. Well, first, I always tell clients, I only have 5 topics I talk about, and I find all kinds of ways to talk about it. So I'll be like, oh, here we are back on body image. Yes, we're back talking about protein. So we have to remember what our main goal. So for me, my goal is to help them have a better relationship with food in their bodies. So that's going to go back to some nutrition education about the essential nutrients, their relationship with food things. It's going to go to how they feel about exercise and movement, body image, just like connecting these dots. So I'm always just remembering that's the goal. So how can we come back? And the easiest for me when I started, I was doing weekly groups. I had a template for myself. So this is the same way we do this when we do meal planning. And we tell a busy mom, okay, pasta Monday, taco Tuesday, Instapot Wednesday, takeout Thursday. So she doesn't have to think about what am I doing. She just thinks, what am I putting in the Instant Pot on this day, right? So I do it. So week 1 of the month was nutrition ed, because I love to talk about that, because we do that. That's the gentle nutrition part of intuitive eating, right? We're still dietitians talking about nutrients and health benefits and all of that. Then I would do one week where they would do a writing activity. So I might have them write a letter to their body. I might have them write about what it was like to do exercise when they were a kid. But I would know something to get them writing, because that's how they're going to connect. I would have them, sometimes we would do an art, drawing or painting, not really painting, mostly drawing. And I would do something that was kind of what I would call recovery minded. So this could be in the intuitive eating framework, talking about non-diet stuff, like ditching the diet mentality or food police or something related to that. It's not really the nutrition ed, but it's all these other things, hunger cues. And then what would I do for the 4th, we would do a meal. The group that I was on, we did a group meal once a month. So we would do a potluck. And so then we would plan what we're going to bring. So I had this framework, and sometimes there's 5 Tuesdays in a month. Every 4 months there's an extra. So then that was like the bonus, where I would just come up with something fun. We might play a game about pick cards that are part of your value system. How does that connect to your goals? We might watch a little movie, or it was just kind of a bonus that I would think of. So even within that framework, and again, I want to put it in the context of meal planning, because we know how to do this. So if you had the mom doing the weekly schedule with these theme nights, you could have the family participate. So one person chooses what the pasta is for the Monday or something like that. So in the same way, you just ask your group, what would you like to talk about? Right? Like you just ask them, and then visualize. Yeah, it's so easy. And they say, oh, I'm really freaked out about eating fats. And you say, okay, great. Next week, we're doing the nutrition. So we're going to focus on that. So even to give yourself that break, that we don't have to have it all perfect. And what is more helpful for them is to ask. And then right? Sometimes they always want to talk about fads or truth. I would do like a tricks and truth. Like, this is the latest thing I've heard about. Let's break down why this diet is harmful. So just thinking of a theme or a template you can have for yourself for the frequency of how you're eating, ask them, and then you just kind of let it go. I mean, there are times where the best parts of the group were nothing that I could have planned. right? And then I'm like, oh, or I would think like, oh wow, I had all these topics I wanted to discuss. That's going to take 3 groups because we want time for them to talk with each other, right? Give each other feedback. So it becomes, like I said, it's so easy for the dietitian, and it's really a rich and nurturing experience for the client.
And it's not content based for the most part. That's one of the, I think, the big takeaway messages here. It's really just kind of like, if you are feeling stuck, you're tempted to do this, but you're kind of stuck on, oh, I have to have all this content done first. We're recommending that that's a mindset issue, right? Like, let's help you to put that on the back burner, right? Like, let's put this in a little basket, right? And let's focus on getting started and really getting just getting this group going off the ground and going, right? Like that is really the starting point. There's a few things that I really want to dig into because this is such a great topic. I mean, one thing I do want to say before we start talking about, some of the challenges and nutrition counseling versus MNT in a group, I do want to share from a business perspective why this makes so much sense. All right. There's so many reasons. But I do want to point out that, at a certain point in your business, you can, if you're just doing one-on-one, okay, I see it all the time. One-on-one can be exhausting, right? It can be very fulfilling because this is where our clients really do tend to get great results. At the same time, it can be exhausting. And at a certain point, your client roster fills up and you don't necessarily have a way to grow. This is a fantastic way to add variety to your workday. It's really putting the onus on your participants, just like Jen described. So it really takes the pressure off of you. It can be fun, and it can be another way to serve your clients, right? And we always want to have like a next step for our private clients, or maybe this is an addition, right? Maybe you do private work and a group like this is like something that they can do in tandem, right? So, and the other thing I do want to say, depending on how you organize your group program, let's be honest, it's a great way to increase your revenue, right? Because although the price point is probably less than one-to-one work, if you've got multiple people in that group, your revenue per hour is most likely going to exceed what you would make in that given hour with a private one-on-one client. So it really makes a ton of sense from a business perspective. So that being said, let's shift into a little bit about, I'm curious how you would differentiate nutrition counseling versus MNT in this setting.
Yeah, so in this setting, I think about MNT like the education we give in a hospital, in a clinical setting. You're assigned a patient with diabetes. You have your handout. It's been so long since I did my rotations. I'm like, right? You have to go, you're charting on somebody, you get your handout, you go in, you explain blood sugar. The nurse has already explained insulin. You send them on, you tell them some encouragement, send them on their way. So at each MNT session, we're getting more, it's more teaching and less about, it can include patterns, but when I think about the nutrition counseling, I think about how skilled dietitians are looking for patterns. Because in an MNT setting, we can recognize this person doesn't have any dairy, or they have high needs for calcium. What other foods can we add? How can we supplement that? Like we easily find patterns. So we're looking for patterns in a different way, connected to the intuitive eating framework, and really disconnecting from diet culture is a big part of it. So finding patterns and then helping the clients connect. And what I do with clients, I'm realizing is helpful for dietitians. the same skill set that they use to connect with their hunger and fullness cues, which is a major part of intuitive eating. It's the same skill set to connect with other things. Am I tired? Am I irritated? Have I not done any movement for a few days? And I notice that my body feels a different way. I like all these different things happening. So where I think it's different in the nutrition counseling realm is that we're helping the clients connect. We're noticing patterns that they don't notice because we're looking at it from our vantage point. So they're just stuck in this little space that can be very uncomfortable. And we say, isn't that what happened before? Or, is that a day that you were really tired, or you had that meeting with your boss, or, whatever's going on. So we're helping them connect. And then that's where they can begin to do the healing. And again, if it's deeper stuff, we hand off to a therapist. But it's more about connection. And I always love to talk about with clients that it takes a lot of courage to connect. It is so easy to be disconnected, right? They're not connected with their bodies. They're just going through the motions. And at 3 p.m. every day, they're at the vending machine, eating the candy, feeling out of control. So it's more about identifying the pattern, helping them connect to something to be more mindful, more intentional. And that's how it feels different for me.
I love that. That really, it makes a ton of sense. So let's talk a little bit. Let's unpack some of those challenges, right?
Yeah.
Maybe we should have done this first, but
I think it's good to do it now.
Yeah, we don't want to scare people.
Yeah.
And guys, really, there's always going to be challenges, right? So what our intention in this segment is, let's get them out on the table so you know what you're dealing with. And frankly, they are all fixable. They're all achievable. Like we can overcome the challenges if we know what we're dealing with, right? So I always say knowledge is power. So let's get them out there. So what would you say, rather than just being taken off guard and being like, oh my gosh, I had no idea. Let's put them out there, and let's maybe pick a couple to talk about and give some recommendations and solutions around. So what do you think?
Yeah. So I think the first one, for dietitians, is the fear that you won't know what to say, or that you don't know the answer, right? Because our clients are out Googling, researching. They ask me things. I'm like, I've never heard of that. I don't know. So the first thing is to remember that we are allowed to be human. We are not expected to know everything, and we can say that. We can say, that's a great question. I don't know. I will look it up, and we'll talk about it next time. Right. So you have to give yourself that little space.
That grace.
And sometimes if I get stuck, someone said something and I just like, gosh, I'm not sure. I could just say, oh, tell me more about that. Sometimes I will say, what does your therapist think? Because I feel very stumped. Like, did you talk to her about this yet? It's like you can call it a lifeline, because we want to be, aligned as a team treating somebody. So you can kind of pull from, like, I don't know everything, and I'm allowed to know everything and still be a very good clinician, right? The other really important one is, and this will depend on where you are doing your group. When I was working for a program, I didn't have choice over who came in, and sometimes people were very entrenched, and I just blanket term pathology, right? Eating disorders are a mental health condition, so there could be some underlying things that are just tough in a group dynamic. Now that I'm cherry picking people to go into my groups, I don't have that so much because I can pick, but I would say even with that, some of the hardest moments I had with clients or in groups, the group really was very respectful, and they saw what was happening. So sometimes, someone could be having a very bad day and they say something that's really unkind. You're like, I'm a person and that doesn't feel good. Or they're testing, or there's just maybe they're not on their meds. There's reasons why they could show
Right.
up to be kind of an antagonist. And
Mhm.
the most important thing is that everyone is watching to see how you respond. Do you let them get away?
Mm.
Because that doesn't matter.
Mm.
So even just to say, sounds like you're having a hard time, it's okay for you to go home. Right?
Right.
Why don't you call somebody, like you address it the best way you can. And this is where
Mhm.
supervision helps.
Mhm.
Because others need to see, like, oh, it wasn't okay. I'm always very clear to set the expectations. This is a non-diet book. We're not talking about diets. We're not talking
Mhm.
about costs and numbers. So if you start to, I'll remind you. And so that part of it is how you help the client feel safe in the group. So
Mhm.
there we let them know that we're humans and we have things, and we're like, hey, that didn't feel good when you said that. Or you just stop bad behavior. I don't know if that's the right word. Behavior that's not supportive for the group.
Right.
And then sometimes the group members will say, remember, we don't talk about that.
I love that.
I've had them
That's
say,
the best.
remember, Jen is not a therapist. I'll put my hands up and say, hold on, whoa, stop. That is not for me. That sounds very important, but I am not the one to help you with that. And so we're not going to talk about it. And if it's somebody that I see individually and they have a question that's legitimate, but it's off topic, I might say, let's talk about that in your one-on-one session.
Mm.
But I think just knowing that you can put the brakes on anything. This is your group. And something, now that we are doing more virtual settings, you can put them on mute. Like, you just can make them be quiet.
I love that.
Much, right? Like, they get a little time out. So anticipating that somebody could be having a really bad day and they're not showing their best self, and how you can redirect, because you don't want them to take over the group. And I would say the last one that's really challenging, and this is especially if you are dealing with binge eaters. Someone who, or anyone with a history of binging, they binge on everything. They binge on books, shopping, relationships. So they will binge up the space. They will want to talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. And you want to just know. So that's something, even as you're screening or thinking about, you're like, this one I will need to interrupt them in a respectful way to remind them everyone needs a turn. Like, you don't get to have one. So that,
so interesting.
Yeah. So I think those are probably the three biggest. Feeling like you don't know what to say, dealing with somebody's really bad day, and how to keep it fair. And when you say to somebody in a group, oh, remember, so if I know I have a lot of people who say a lot of words, I will say, okay, we're going to share feedback or a takeaway. You each get 5 minutes. So everybody gets a turn. And then you know, like, oh, I don't want to be a jerk and take all the time. Or their peers will tell them, your time is up. It's my turn. You're helping in ways that, we want to do ways that are respectful.
Well, what you're doing is you're modeling boundaries.
Yes.
And let's be honest, that's where a lot of the struggle lies, right? And if you didn't model how to handle this in a respectful way, that would not be good role modeling, right? So, I mean, they're really looking to you to see, how does Jen handle this, right? How does Jen handle it when this person in the group really pushes the boundary?
Yes.
So that's really what it's about.
Yeah, absolutely.
And dealing with it in a way where you're not getting ruffled, right? You're not like buying into the emotion, right?
Yes.
So important.
Like, it is just, and for me, I definitely have had moments where I finish, times, and then I'm on the phone with a friend who happens to be a therapist, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I need some supervision.
Right.
Or I need to vent a little, like, this was hard. Sometimes in the next group, you address it. Usually,
I think that's,
they really rough, the person's not there. Or sometimes you have them address it. But it is absolutely, we're modeling being assertive,
Yes.
caretakers of our energy, being able to tolerate discomfort, right? And I have clients who, after a group, will text me, Jen, I'm so sorry that happened. And I could tell, I mean, they know me, so they're like, I know that was really hard. I'm like, thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
Yes, it was hard. And, you know, I did my best.
Yeah.
And a big part of supervision, the way that I do supervision, like, I've been there. I've made all the mistakes. I learned, you know, just on the job training. So I really can empower the dietitians that I supervise and mentor. Okay, do it, like, do not do it this way.
Done there, done that.
Yeah, do this. And so it's really, I enjoy that piece of the dynamic with working with dietitians, because I feel like we can save them the hardship. Like, they don't have to, you know, have as many growing pains.
So how do you pick good people, like the right fit clients to go into your groups? Like, what is your process?
Great question. So I, these days, I'm really looking for folks that are interested in getting better, motivated, doing the work, and just looking for more support. I'm actually about to start a meal planning group. I have a meal planning course that I do, so this is our step down. So this one will be really fun, because it's a chance for them to share how their new meal planning systems are going, and how like recipes they're using. And like, one of the clients, genius, she's been watching the refrigerator organization on TikTok, and I have a whole bunch who are doing this. So then they send me pictures of their fridges. She came up with a concept of making bins for sandwich and salad fixings. So her mayonnaise lives in the sandwich bin, because for her, pulling out the bin with the meats and cheeses and bread and condiments helps her make lunch at home. And so, so I'm cultivating a group with people who are being creative, feeding off each other in a really healthy way. I have another group right now that I'm running for some clients that have chronic illness. That's one that I'm doing free of charge. Many of the folks also, not many, a few have disabilities. So it's just a way to get some support for something that nobody talks about. Right. And so for them, they all have different conditions, but they live with chronic pain and medication taking, and it's just, they're just so kind and supportive with each other. So I'm kind of screening to see who's working hard, who do I want to hang out with. I don't invite anyone in, because, you know, I've had some rough groups in the past. So I like, who would be fun? Whose temperaments do I know that could work together? I haven't yet done just an open, an open group to people I didn't know. I'm planning to do that for the meal planning, and then I will just really screen to make sure that they understand the expectations. Just setting the expectations.
That's huge. So what do you do if you've got someone? Is this by invitation only then? Is that how you do it?
Only.
Okay, so then you don't really have the issue of someone wanting to be in the group that isn't a good fit because you don't even invite them.
Right.
Okay, got it. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. That makes it, frankly, in this kind of an intimate setting, it just easier, right? Because you already know them, you know if they're a good fit. Okay, love that. So how does someone get started with this approach? What are your thoughts?
So I think to get started, you would think about who you're serving. So if you're already in practice and you have one-on-one clients, you could just do what I just talked about. Like, think about who are like-minded that could work together. You certainly could create a group of all people you haven't met before, right? I think it's deciding if you want to do it. And I think that getting started, like, just go for it. Don't overthink it. And if I have one of the dietitians that I have mentored does groups with intuitive eating. So she has her own way of her own spin, how she does it. So she uses the intuitive eating book, and that's what guides her lessons and her time with her groups. So I think that like the key is just to do it. Like if you are still watching, if you're still watching us, if you're watching, and you're still here, you want to do this, and so I would just say go for it and don't overthink it. You can start a group of 2. That's probably the biggest. You don't have to have that number. Start where you start. Build up your skill set. Get help. Talk to a mentor or get some support to know, just so you can feel good about it. And that group that I just mentioned with the chronic illness, the first time we met, I had a whole outline of discussion points, and I thought, like, what? And I just like, I don't know this. What if it's not good? They talked the whole time, and I know I was able to say, oh, remember this. Oh, you're doing it. Because the way it fits in with food is that someone with chronic condition is really tired, and it's hard to do meal prep. And then if they're not eating, they have more fatigue. So then I would just type in like, oh, you're doing a great job eating your protein. But I just laughed. At the end, I said, y'all, I had all these points. I was really nervous that I was going to give you good value, but you're amazing, and I'll see you next month.
Oh, and so good.
Yeah, it's really fun. So to get started, if it's something you'd like to do, remember you can start with 2 people. You can ask them what the best time is to meet. That's what the dietitians, right? With my dietitian group, we meet in Hawaii time Tuesdays at 8 a.m. That's what they pick. So now going forward, we layered in. So start small. Get whatever support you need. Don't overthink it. Just trust. And
just decide. Decide. And I do want to clarify, just for those that are watching and maybe wondering, like, how to get started. So the group model that Jen is referring to is like this ongoing group, right? So it's not the group that starts, on a certain date and ends on a certain date. Like, that's really kind of a different model, right? Where you really do need more of like a launch plan. Okay, so this model is different because it's ongoing. And I remember when I started my first ongoing group, what I decided, and this was me, I said, okay, self, I'm going to start with 4 people. My goal is to get, and that was just me. I don't know where 4 came from. It just was like, okay, I'm going to do this with 4. And so I invited people, and I found 4 core people. And I asked them, like, I worked around their schedules. So there was a lot of like buy-in that I was creating this group around them, right? And and then I got my 4 people. And then my thought was just add from there, right? Just add people from there. Now, I will say, in my opinion, now everyone's different, but in my ongoing group, I do like to have a minimum commitment, right? Because I do personally want some continuity. I don't want people just jumping in for a month and then leaving. Like, that's not going to help anybody. We want continuity in this kind of a group. So like, now I used to say it's a minimum of 4 months. Now for me, it's a minimum of 6, right? So it just really depends on your group. Do you do anything like that in yours, Jen? What are your thoughts?
I haven't set it up that way, but I picked people that were in it for the long term.
Yeah. Okay. So you knew.
Yeah. But as I'm starting this meal planning group, and I'm even thinking of it in terms of a membership. Yeah. For the meal planning one, I am planning to have them commit to maybe 3 months.
Yeah.
Initially, just because I'm still getting it off the ground. It's also a lot of work for us to onboard somebody.
Right.
And if we're thinking about creating a safe space in the group, we don't want people in and out. We want
exactly.
In and show up. And if somebody's not participating, you could have that hard conversation. Like, is this still for you? Or like,
right.
Not it feels uncomfortable when someone's sharing emotional things to have
Mhm.
people just bouncing in and out. So I think that even for the intuitive eating group, especially,
Mhm.
some commitment. But I mean, over the years, I did groups where people stayed for a year, year and a half.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Support. It's so, because they're growing and then they're almost doing like mentoring with their peers. I've had some folks where I have them lead the group
Mhm.
because they've gotten really competent in something. And so that helps them be able to
Mhm.
lead, so yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah. So it's just one of those things you want to think through is, how do you want your group set up? So, so we got a couple comments. Hi guys, love this. Thanks for your knowledge, Jen. I don't know who that's from, but thank you for that wonderful feedback. Jen is a rock star. I love you, Jen. You're the best. I really do. And Karen, hey Karen, such great insight on bingers. So hey Karen, and I know Karen, we're gonna probably see each other here in just a few minutes on another call that I'm doing, but Karen is in the process of doing like a real launch, right? Right. So, so I'm glad that this information is useful for you, Karen, as well. So, so Jen, any final words of wisdom, any in terms of, moving forward as a wrap up?
Yeah. So I put together a very simple template for nutrition counseling group template. The link is in the comments.
Yeah.
And anytime I work with dietitians, I model what I do with clients. So this is not what you're thinking of as a template. It's not a lesson plan where you just fill in a few things. It's actually some little short answer questions for you to think about the logistics, who, what, where, when, what the goals are, what the activity will be, what materials you need, how to do a wrap up. But it will show you how to go a little bit deeper. And if you have any questions, please reach out and I'm happy to share.
Okay, awesome. Oh, let's see. We have another. Hey Gina. Great to see you here. So last night I had my first sharing is caring session with current clients. Over 15 people showed up. I need more from you, Jen. Absolutely. Okay. Yeah. So, oh my gosh, Gina is awesome. And Gina has been really, really successful in this group model. As a matter of fact, most of her work now is shifting into running these amazing groups. So I am over the moon. Oh my God, so incredibly psyched for the direction that Gina's business is going in. So yeah, and you know what? Here's what I think. I mean, Jen, like our work really complements each other in so many ways. We got to do this again. Seriously, let's do it again. Let's not wait months. Let's get it in the calendar, and because you just have so many pearls of wisdom. Especially around this, just this whole area. I mean, you're just an expert. So I want my audience to get more of you. I really do. So let's make a plan. I'm going to have my Abby reach out and get you scheduled again. Awesome. And oh, I know what I was going to say. So I just want to let everybody know that next week we will be back, or I will be back, same time, same place. And our topic next week is on running successful Facebook and Instagram ads. All right. I'm really excited to have my own Facebook ad strategist on, and she is going to talk to you about, how to run great ads. So be sure to join us. It'll be myself and Kathy Lowenstern, and she's out of San Francisco. So, all right, guys. So we are going to have to wrap up. We could talk all day, but I know everyone's got stuff to do, including Jen. So thanks for joining us, and a big warm, just incredible thank you to Jen. Really appreciate your sharing your wisdom with the audience. And guys, definitely be sure to grab, I'm just going to put the link here. It's the first comment in the string of comments. And guys, just to be clear, this is on the Leslie Vitel International Facebook page. All right. So if I don't think that these comments, I'm not 100% sure, but I don't think the comments you're able to view them if you're watching this Facebook Live from one of my private groups, just FYI. All righty. So this is the link you want to go to, grab that PDF. It's awesome. And I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your week, and I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Bye, everybody. And bye, Jen.
Bye. Thank you so much. Aloha, everybody.
All right. Bye, guys.